And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on air host, Sara DiVello, and the author of Broadway Butterfly. And I'm so excited to welcome tonight Deborah Ledford, here to give us the inside scoop on her brand new red hot book, Redemption. Deborah, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Oh, thank you so much, Sarah. First of all, I just want to say that I am reading your book right now, and I'm loving it. And I'm so excited. Picked up by the CBS Book Club. That's exciting.
Oh my God.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Deborah.
Broadway
And tonight,
Butterfly.
Broadway Butterfly. But tonight, I'm excited to talk about your book,
Okay.
Redemption. Tell us all about it.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to hold it up. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Can you see it?
We
It's
can.
so yeah, Redemption is a police procedural, a psychological thriller. It's Native American literature, of course. My female lead is Ava Lightning Dance Duran. And the tagline for the book that I think is brilliant, that my publisher Thomas and Mercer came up with, is she's the storm they never saw coming. So, and that kind of defines her character because
Mm,
when she focuses on something, she gets it done.
great. And what is she focusing on in this book? Tell us all about it.
So Ava is a sheriff's deputy for the Taos County Sheriff's Department. Takes place in Taos, New Mexico, and the surrounding areas. Ava is a full-blooded Taos Pueblo member of the tribe, and uh, she was not able to get a job as a tribal police officer because it's a very male-driven type of a workplace situation, let's just say. So she decided, well, I know I want to be a law enforcer, so I'm going to become a sheriff's deputy. Uh, and because of that, she is able to bridge communities. She's the only native on the sheriff's department force, so she can, whenever there are situations that involve any natives of her, of her tribe or her people, they ask her to intervene and step in and keep the peace. So she calms everybody down.
She calms everybody down, but she gets us going in this page turning police procedural slash thriller. And we can't wait to get all the scoop from you tonight, Deborah. So I just want to welcome everyone because we are broadcasting live to 7 different destinations tonight across Facebook and YouTube. So, friends, no matter where you're watching
Woo!
from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. It is Mystery Monday. And because Mondays can be murder, we're going to make them a little less painful for you and get your week off to a killer start. Yes, I will be here all night with these fabulous puns. If you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you're new, welcome, mystery and thriller loving friends. Here's the drill. Every Monday, I give you my hand-picked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask Deborah about her research. We need to know all the things about Ava Lightning Dance Duran. Ava Lightning Dance Duran. We need to know about the reservation. We need to know about the police procedural angle. We need to know, does she write every day? Does she write for a word count? We need to know all of the things. Get them going in the questions. I'll get them right over to her. Let's kick off with Sharon Bishop joining us from YouTube. Hi, Sharon. She's saying hi,
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 Sharon.
hi. Renee joining us from Facebook saying hi, Sara, and Deborah from Southeast Florida. Hi, Renee.
Hello,
Jennifer
Renee.
is joining us from YouTube. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome. We have Wendy joining us from Facebook saying hi, Deborah and Sara. Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
We have Sharon from Minnesota joining us. Hi,
Ooh.
Sharon. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Renee has the first question. She wants to know, Deborah, you are a new author. It is nice to meet you. So, Deborah, tell us about how you came up with this book.
So I had my first series takes place. I consider them still part of my soul. It takes place in Western North Carolina, which is where I spent all of my summers growing up. My mother's people are part um, Eastern Band Cherokee, and then when I had the opportunity, I had taken a break, and my very good friend who Isabella Maldonado. I've known her for a number of years, and she kind of, last April said, what's going on? Are you going to start writing again? And I had kind of, I had a medical issue, so I was pretty much checked out as far as the creative aspect of writing, and was only doing content editing and that sort of thing. So I said, well, I'm not really involved. And then we caught up a little bit more. And then she asked again, so when do you think you'll start writing? I'm like, what's going on? So she told me that her agent, which is all three of our agent, right? Liza Fleissig with the fantastic Liza Royce agency. She knew 4 editors at publishing houses who were interested in doing what I write. So, she told me, just think about it. And that's then all I could think about. And and I came up with a treatment, a 3-page synopsis, and then the first 5 chapters, and submitted that. Yeah, Ava passed that along to Liza, and she loved it, and then submitted it. I told her, look, I know I can pull the story off, but it's the marketing that really scares me, really turns me off, and it's just like, So, but the publisher that we discussed was Thomas and Mercer, and no one is better at promoting than Thomas and Mercer, which is, and they picked it up. I was thrilled. And then I had to write the whole thing. So it was a bit of a departure because I'm not a plotter, but I knew that I had to follow the template. And I had 4 months to write it. My deadline was, I was signed right before Thriller Fest last year. And 2022, yeah, right. And so then it was got to get on it. And so I did. I was able to make all of the deadlines, and I'm just pretty thrilled about it.
Thank you for sharing that backstory. It's so good to get the inside scoop on your path to publication, and how cool to know that your friend and fellow Arizonian is Isabella Maldonado is the one that suggested you start writing. And I absolutely love that. I've been thrilled to have Isabella on the show a couple times, and she's absolutely, she's so cool and such a pleasure to chat with. So It's so great to know that she was part of your path to publication.
Yes.
We have a mystery user saying, hello, I made it. Welcome. Sharon saying Mondays can definitely be murder. Oh, they're killer, aren't they? Sharon. Renee wants to know, Deborah, did you grow up in Taos or North Carolina? Did you ever live on a reservation? Tell us about that.
I never lived on the reservation. I spent my summers growing up in North Carolina, which is where the first series is set, in a tiny little town that hasn't changed at all. Let's see, what was the other part? I grew up in Taos. I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And while doing research for the second book in my first series, Snare, I found the Taos Pueblo tribe and decided, well, it's driving distance. I live in Phoenix, so I could certainly do, a decent amount of research, and was very, very fortunate to find one particular contact, and then, quite a few other contacts as well to vet and give blessings on the work and so forth and so on. Because I do, especially in this book, I go even deeper into traditions and not giving anything away that certainly people couldn't do a deep dive and find on the internet. But I wanted to show in a respectful way the kindness and fascinating stories that have been shared with me from the Taos Pueblo people.
So you went there and just said, can I interview people? Or how did that go, Deborah? Like, did you just
It was very interesting. On the Pueblo, on the village of the Pueblo, which is known worldwide, there are 2 main structures, 2 very large structures, the North House and the South House, and they have been in existence over 1,000 years, and they were built over 1,000 years. And people still there are some Pueblo people who still live there. There is no running water in in the actual traditional houses, no power. They get the water from the stream that runs between the two houses. It's a very, very traditional way of living. So they live upstairs, and then they have shops downstairs where they sell artifacts and pottery, and they're very well known for their drums, um, and jewelry and so forth. And so I went there thinking, okay, I think I could get a lot of research done here. They seem to be open, talking to non-tribal members, and did the tour. And then my husband and I did a horseback ride on the Pueblo, and the owner, a horse stepped on his foot, so he wasn't able to do the tour. So his son took over, Floyd Gomez, and we started talking, and he had been doing a little bit of research assistance for someone who was working on a play a while back. And he said, "Hey, I'd love to help you, do the research and the vetting." And he became my brother. I mean, he became as close to a brother, and remains to this day. So that was back in 2007. We established that relationship. That was my first trip. And then I've been back, I don't know, maybe a dozen times since then, and 3 times for this book even. And just he's on speed dial. It's like, hey, buddy, you got to help me out. I painted myself into a corner.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. Renee says, what a nice guy. And also, ouch, oh, that a horse stepped on his foot. Ouch, indeed. Um, Sharon wants to know, did you imagine it or did it evolve along the way? Yeah. So give us a scoop. Do you, and actually, Renee had asked as well, do you plot? Do you, do you just go with the flow? Do you outline? So Renee wants to know, do you outline? And Sharon wants to know, do you evolve? So give us an inside peek into your creative process. Do you
Right.
outline? Do you flow with the story? Tell us all the things.
Well, for this series, it completely switched. For the first series, before chemo and radiation and surgery and the whole, process, I did not plot. It was strictly, I had the idea, I knew the characters, I knew the subplots. But for this one, thankfully, I had done all that research, so I was able to really, really crank the pages out. I had a vision. Not a vision. It was an actual sighting of what happens in chapter 1 and 2, which I won't tell. I don't want to do a spoiler, but so that had been percolating in my brain for a couple of years, literally for a couple of years, and I thought, well, that might be a very interesting start for a new series. So I knew for this one, for redemption, I had to follow the template of what I had presented because that's what the publisher bought. So I knew that I had to be very, very focused. But of course, a lot can happen within, your three-page synopsis, right? It's so there was still the fun element. There was still the putting the pieces together and, deciding which characters I should feature and how bad I should make my bad. She's actually a woman in this one, and yeah, the protagonist is pretty crazy. She's a psycho, a nurse practitioner who is driven to cure the Native women from their heroin addiction and drug addictions, and takes it upon herself to just go nuts. Yeah. So what happens in this book is that Ava is searching for her best friend, who was a famous hoop dancer, in the 4 surrounding states, and her husband, Paloma is her name. Paloma, her husband, was killed in an accident while driving her to a performance, a powwow, and so she was very badly injured, and Oxy got involved. She was, very much, in mourning and so forth. And then she turned to heroin, and so she was pretty much banned from the Pueblo, and because she was stealing from family and friends and so forth and so on. So And then she had been missing for 4 days. Her son, Paloma's son, 18-year-old Kai, he couldn't find her, couldn't get anyone to care, and finally convinced Ava, look, something's definitely wrong. So then takes it upon herself to risk her badge and further relationships with the tribal members to find Paloma and her friends.
Mm. Sharon saying you've gotta love psycho stories. Absolutely, Sharon. Renee saying that she prays that you're feeling much better now, Deborah. Yeah, because you mentioned that you went through a health issue. Are you, we are all hoping that you're feeling better now. Are you doing well?
Yep, I'm great. I'm 6 years clear, almost 6 years clear. So yep, feeling strong. I have to pace myself even to this day, with the brain issues. Aphasia is a big issue, especially later in the evening. And, a writer who can't find the words, that's a scary thing. So I have to be very, very good to myself and careful with how much time I spend, which is hard right now because I'm now into book 2. My developmental editor has sent me edits, and there are a lot of them because he and my acquiring editor at Thomas & Mercer believe that what I presented is really 2 books. So so I've been kind of moving things over to potential hopeful book 3 in the series, and then focusing a lot more on the crimes themselves rather than set up for what would be book 3, what will be book 3, right? We're gonna be positive about it.
Yes. And Renee would like to know, when do you expect that the next book of the series might be available?
So according to Amazon, it will be released in August of 2024. So don't have to wait, another less than a year. So not too bad.
Excellent. Our mystery user is saying that they're almost positive that they saw a report on these people still living the old ways. Not sure what channel it was on. I think I saw that same thing about the North House and the South House and these living in these ancient ways. How fascinating that you got to,
Right.
That you went there and really, made these incredible connections with your honorary brother now, and they were so open with
Right.
sharing information with an outsider, and
Right.
how wonderful that you're able to honor the stories and the culture that you witnessed. Sharon saying, sorry, she hit return, so her question was in 2 parts. No worries at all, Sharon. So Sharon's 2-part question, I'm just scrolling back. Sharon's 2-part question is, did the story end up the way, did the story end up the way that you had imagined it, or did it evolve along the way? Thank you, Sharon.
Well, I had the ending in the synopsis, so I knew I had to do that.
Okay.
But the protagonist, the crazy nurse practitioner, she evolved more and more and more as the story went on, so that we really see, what Ava is up against. Ava and her love interest is Cruz Romero, who is also Taos Pueblo, a tribal officer. So he kind of wrangles him into helping her out with some of the investigation, and also, puts his job a little bit in jeopardy as well, because she is just so convinced that Paloma, there's something definitely going on. So yeah, the ending was the same, but the actual capture, that type of thing, you can, in a synopsis, there are only little snippets of what you give. It's kind of boom, 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 but then it's for you to fill out what's in between the booms.
Between the booms is the good stuff. One of our mystery users is revealing himself is George Beach. Hi, George, joining us
Hi,
from
George.
Houston, Texas. George is a valued member of our Mystery and Thriller Maven community. George, it's so great to have you tonight. Thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure, and in disguise, no less. Renee saying Taos is absolutely gorgeous. Now I want to go there. I've never been.
It is beautiful.
Very cool. And Deborah, I want to get to some of the incredible praise that your book has earned. So let's take a look at that, all of us together. I'll pop this up on the screen. So first, from Cara Black, the New York Times best-selling author, and she says redemption is a book that gets under your skin. I'm going to pop this up so we can all read it together. fresh and ferocious Native American deputy Ava Lightning Dance Duran never lets up in her quest, woven through the Taos Pueblo land. Oh my gosh, I'm having a
Pueblo,
freeze.
sorry.
Pueblo, through the Taos Pueblo land, atmospheric and awash with color, customs, and ancient ways. I loved this. So, Deborah, since this isn't your first book, but it's your most recent book. What do you think the secret is to writing a book that gets under people's skin, that stays with them even after that last page is flipped? A character and a story that stays with you and gets under your skin. What's the secret?
I think accessibility. I think, I don't write about necessarily gorgeous people who are interested in their, in their outward beings and so forth. It's more what's going on internally and in the brain, and how they're trying to figure out how to survive. I mean, there is no industry on the Taos Pueblo. It is strictly, artisans, or you have to find your way, living offsite of the reservation to bring in, money to feed your children. So there are much more real world elements that they have to think about and worry about, and also so keeping the traditions alive for the younger members of the, and particularly the language, because the Taos Pueblo language is not written. It's all phonetic. It's all storytelling. So there's like Floyd, my brother from another mother, is he did not learn the Taos Pueblo language in school. Now his children did, and of course his father speaks it, but he always regretted not for that not to be a requirement. And now languages are dying all over over the small reservations, because the elders are dying off, and the younger generation isn't necessarily thinking about this. I thought about this when I was asked in an interview, what do I know about even my family? And it's like, well, I don't know a whole lot, because so many of them have passed, and I didn't think to ask the questions when I was young, that to find the information that I would love to have now. So making a connection with people. I try to write characters that people can connect with. Yes, I'm an entertainer, but I'm writing about real world situations.
Mm, mm. I love that. And dealing head on with, with the opioid crisis, with heroin addiction, which is, such a problem in so many parts of our country. So
right. And also the missing Indigenous women. That's a big issue too. I don't get political. I just state the facts and how this particular female law enforcer solves the crime.
Anissa, welcome to the conversation, joining us from South Carolina. She would like to know, which character changed the most from your first draft to the final book? Did he or she become a better person?
That would probably be Kai, the 18-year-old boy, which I'm not either. So that was, yeah, he was a little bit of a challenge. I mean, he came to me fully formed, completely. And I don't base my characters on any real people at all. I mean, at all. They're, amalgams of me. Everyone that I've come up with have turned out to be a little bit of me. But so I did rely on my content editor, my developmental editor, John Reyes, who does have young boys and was a young boy at one point. So he kind of guided me a little bit. It's like, hey, let's rethink about this. Really an 18-year-old boy wouldn't necessarily do this or say this, and so forth and so on. So he was helpful as far as that goes.
What do you like? What kind of thing did you get wrong about the 18-year-old boy?
It was primarily his dialogue. As far as too talky. Yeah. Too much talk. Yeah. That was a big thing. Yeah. It's just use expressions. That was very, very helpful, because in actuality, I mean, Floyd's Floyd has 2 sons and a daughter, and spending so much time with them, it's like, yeah, you're right. They don't talk at all. So, of course, we have to convey, the conversation, of course, to advance the plot and what is going to happen next. But yeah, too much talk.
He's the strong silent type. Yeah. So
Yes, right.
Someone saying, so that is so sad, the loss of languages, and of course the loss of tradition. Language and culture has been happening for centuries. Yeah, the that struck me, the idea of an entire language lost, or a culture lost, and certainly a people lost, and their place and their traditions and their lands is really just so heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really
It's
is.
like, yeah, that really hurts. So thank you for bringing that to the page and preserving it, and honoring it. Sharon wants to know, do you have a writing routine, Deborah? Yeah, so let us know. Do you write every day at the same time of the day? Do you have to hit a certain word count or a page count, or do you just write when the spirit moves you? What's it like at Deborah Ledford's desk?
Okay, so for the first book, because the deadline was so tight, I mean, they wanted essentially, had 4 months to write 90,000 words. I mean, completed as much as absolutely possible. So I was, toward the end there, like 2 months in, I was doing 2,000 words a day, and it was a lot. I mean, it was a lot. This one, not so much, because I did have time. I had the approval, much earlier, so I was able to give that more time to percolate and really hone in on what it is that I really wanted to say with this one. So for book 2, which is Havoc, is the follow up. It I've been doing like 2 hours in the morning after. Okay, we have an Oski. He's part dragon, so undivided attention to the dog for until 9 o'clock, and then I'll write for a couple of hours and take a break. I and I love naps. I love naps because I tell myself before I go to sleep, this is what my subconscious needs to be working on. Especially like if I'm at a hiccup or I'm not quite sure something is, a scene is working quite right, I'll think about it, go to sleep, and the same thing at night as well, going to bed. After my Broadway turned the light out, I say, your book, Broadway Butterfly. I turn off the light and I say, okay, this is what I need to work on, my brain to be percolating overnight. And I'm telling you, it's I really highly recommend this if there are writers out there, and for the readers, just to kind of give a little clue about our crazy writer brains, is keep a notebook by your bedside. Don't I hate to say don't do something, but don't just think, oh, that's a great idea, it's so good, I'm going to remember it. If it's anything like me, I never remember. And so I immediately will jot down the note, right? I jot down the note immediately, turn the light out, and 9 times out of 10, when I wake up in the morning, it's like, oh, look at that. It's like a little gift waiting for me on my bedside for me to then start tapping the note out.
Wow, that's so cool. I love that. John joining us from Northeast Ohio. Welcome to the conversation, John.
Hi, John.
Renee wants to know, okay, so if you do that thing where you tell your brain what to percolate on, do you have dreams that help you with your writing?
I dream a lot. And my husband constantly shakes his head when I tell him what my dream is, because they are very, very vivid. And and yes, I mean, they have some dreams have come to life, and more as more short stories ideas, because they're kind of snippets of scenes and so forth. So more for my short stories than the actual novels.
I think we all need to try the notebook idea.
Yeah, you do.
Because so many times I do that. I think to myself, this is so good and so obvious, I'll never forget it.
Right.
And of course I do.
I
So
know.
this is Very good idea. Renee saying, nice
Or
that you have an Aussie. Yes. And of course, Renee, look at
yes,
her two cute little pups there.
sweet.
We're a lot of dog people here. Okay, so now that you have tried plotting and also not plotting, do you prefer the plotting?
I like the idea of where I need to end up, right? I like the idea of the milestones that I absolutely have to hit because that is what is expected of my publisher and my editor and editors, because as you know, there's an entire team of editors for our books at Thomas and Mercer. Bless them all. So I mean, and so it's kind of the best of both. It's been the best of both worlds, really, with the Lightning Dance series, because although I know what needs to happen, there's so much. I have so much liberty to create. What happens in what happens in between.
Ooh, the what happens in between. I love that. Well, clearly it is working for you, Deborah, because look at this gorgeous praise from Isabella Maldonado, who says a riveting tale of murder and intrigue on a Native American reservation from an immensely talented voice in crime fiction. Deborah J Ledford has created a page turner featuring an unforgettable hero in Ava Lightning Dance Duran. She's not the only one raving. We have David Heska Wanbley Whedon saying, redemption is a page turner. I loved reading about Sheriff's Deputy Ava Duran and her battle against the dark forces. And then, of course, we cannot miss this praise from Naomi Hirahara. She says, Deborah Ledford has artfully woven the voices of multiple characters connected to the Taos Pueblo to connect a pattern of stories that illuminate the challenges as well as the enduring power of Native American women. What a beautiful testimonial. And y'all, the book is out now. So here is the link, no matter where you're watching from, Facebook or YouTube, grab your copy of Redemption and support woman-owned independent bookstore Murder by the Book. Here's that link on Facebook. Here is that link on YouTube. Click and order. Get your hands on Ava Duran and let us know what you think about her and of the story. Ooh, last question from Diane joining us from YouTube, who wants to know, what surprise did Ava bring to the book that you just didn't plan on?
That's a really good question. What I didn't plan on was to love her so much. I mean, I really feel a deep connection with her. We as writers, we kind of have to write. See, which shoulder can you see? From this distance, so that we don't let too much in, because we have a job to do, right? We want to be authentic and real with what we're presenting, but to stay hands off a little bit. But with Ava, I felt like she was very much at my side, and I looked out for her. She looked out for me, and we became a really good team.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that our reader and writer hearts are rejoicing at that beautiful answer of thinking of Deborah and Ava as a team. Renee saying, thank you, Deborah and Sara. Someone saying, another book for my shelves. Yes, absolutely. Renee clapping for us. Y'all, we are out of time. Time flies when you're having a good time. Deborah J Ledford, thank you for joining us in Mystery and Thriller Ravens to give us the inside scoop on Redemption. And we can't wait to have you back for Ava Lightning Dance Duran, The Storm They Never Saw Coming, book number 2 out next year. Thank you,
Thank
y'all.
you, Sara.
I'll be back at the top of the hour with Lee Goldberg. Go get a snack, a drink, and I will see you then. That's a wrap for now.